society today, countless numbers of citizens are not working at their full potential. You might ask, why is productivity low? Well, people aren't happy with the jobs they have. Their selection for their jobs were skewed from the beginning, coming down to the roots of what success is depicted as. Success is commonly seen nowadays as rich, a huge house, a nice Lambo, girls, an easy life. With this idea in mind, it's no wonder why productivity is so low. If someone wants to get loads of money, they need a high-paying job. To get here, they need a sufficient degree from some expensive college. To get that nice college, well, that starts right where you're sitting, high school. It seems as if every day I hear someone at school say, I didn't learn much today, but who cares? Or, I didn't spend a lot of time on this project, but I still got an A. Students try to play down their accomplishment or brag about not trying in an attempt to sound cool or smart. But underlying this attempt to impress is a more significant issue. The issue is students caring more about the grades they get than the learning they achieve. What are you more focused on in school right now, learning or having good grades?
I'd say it's a pretty good mix of the two. If you have a good teacher, then the amount you learn is going to be clearly reflected in your grades. And so, even though that I didn't learn something that well, it is possible to get a good grade sometimes if you have an easy teacher or if the teacher is not grading well. But in general, I think that teachers do a good job of making sure that if you really learn the material and you're confident in what you know, then you deserve an A. But if you're not, then something lower. And so I don't think that you should justify how much you learn by just your grades, because you should know your teachers. But there's always a balance between.
Grades are supposed to be a benchmark of a student's success in learning a material. The issue rises when grades and tests become the only motivation for a student. Corners can be cut, projects can be thrown together, tests can be cheated on. The end result of a grade shows an A, but the true result of the learning is an F.
In the end, the decision falls on the student to decide whether he or she is going to try to learn the topic or just get the A. However, this decision is affected by many factors. Parents put a pressure on their kids to get good grades, not to learn. Colleges put pressure on their applicants to achieve the highest grades they can get.
I had a pretty, typical high school experience, and I was generally pretty motivated by grades. But I got to college, and I kind of started to realize, why am I spending so much time stressing about grades? Certainly it was more competitive in college, and so the grades were starting to suffer a little bit compared to what they were in high school. I kind of just realized, the whole purpose of my being there was for me to learn, right, to get information and to find things that I was interested in and to pursue those things for as long as I wanted to. And when I found something new, I could go learn about that. And then it didn't matter what the grade was. I did my best. I put in the work that I felt motivated to put in. And really, if I was disappointed in the results in the end, then I knew it was all on me. I knew that I needed to just kind of own up to it and say, maybe I could have put a little more into that. Sometimes I didn't want to put more into it. Sometimes it was I'm not interested in this. And I was willing to take the consequences for that. But it was really just all about finding the things that I loved and acquiring as much information as I could about those.
Of course, the educational grading system holds its own significance. Grading a student's performance allows students and their parents to recognize what the student understands and where the student needs help or to spend more time studying.
I think we give grades as a way of putting people into tiers, ranking people or something along those lines.
Unfortunately, the integration of standardized testing into grade schools reinforced the mentality in students that emphasizes passing tests. Standardized testing stresses memorization rather than learning. 3 important consequences contribute to the diminishing value of learning, according to the 1999 study. Grades tend to lessen the student's interest in learning. Grades create a preference for the easiest possible task, and grades tend to reduce the student's quality of thinking.
The consequences illustrated by the study published by the American Psychological Association show many students avoid taking any unnecessary risks because the challenge could jeopardize their grades or grade point average.
Working hard will inevitably produce good grades, but what is learned during the hard work put in for those good grades can produce a feeling of accomplishment that lasts a lifetime. Learning in school has lost its appeal to students. The purpose of a college education now seems to be a simple prerequisite for a stable job and income. High school and college profoundly affects personal development and growth, according to a psychological report published by the Education Resources Information Center.
Students develop competence, personal integrity, and wholeness, establish identity with purpose, learn to manage relationships and emotions, and even develop spirituality during high school. None of the accomplishments found in the report had anything to do with grades.
Good grades should not be viewed as the foundation for a successful future. Rather, students should acknowledge the challenges they face during college and recognize the valuable lessons they learned by facing those challenges.
Avoid getting stuck in the self-defeating cycle, believing good grades enables passing classes, which leads to a diploma, which leads to a good job. Instead, understand while hard work does create good grades, hard work more importantly improves upon the self. Improving the self is truly the ultimate goal of high school, college, and life.
Colleges are starting to rely more on the essay, making an applicant more than just his grades. Teachers are starting to develop more project-based classes that do force students into applying their learning, but there's still so much left to be done. Though the choice is up to each individual on whether they truly learn or not, factors surrounding the student encouraging the grade rather than learning need to be reduced. Until that happens, the mindset will not change. Students will continue to only care about the grade as long as it is what their rewards are based off of.
For now, all we can do is never forget where our passions lay, no matter what you may be struggling with in school. Never allow the grades to define you. The end goal is to spend the rest of our lives doing what we love.